Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Larkin, one half of the Steve and Mike Show. As you all know, www.steveandmikeshow.com is up and running, where you can hear such shows as On the Mic with Mike, The Steve and Mike Show, The Golden Age of Everything, Pop Culture History Podcast, and so much more, and special audios like this, guys. Again, that's www.steveandmikeshow.com, and you can check it all on SoundCloud, which is MC Larkin92. My name is Mike Larkin, and I am back with a Impact-related audio, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the 3-year anniversary of the debut on Pop TV of Impact Wrestling, which took place on January 5th, 2016. As I'm recording this, Homecoming has just ended, and the big news coming out of Homecoming is that Impact, Friday, January 11th, besides the fact that it'll be on the Pursuit channel, which I know a lot of fans were not happy about, myself included, because I didn't get the channel, I'll be honest with you, but now we have another alternative way to watch Impact on Friday nights at 10 p.m. We get to see it simulcasted on Twitch at 10 p.m. along with the Pursuit channel, so if you don't get Pursuit, you have to watch it on Twitch Fridays at 10 p.m., which is good because, like I said, it gives you that alternative way to watch if you don't get Pursuit, which I think is very cool. And a lot of people and a lot of fans voiced their opinions of them not being too fond of the fact that Impact was going to the Pursuit channel. So Impact on Twitch on Fridays, and I mean, when you think about it, I mean, look, you have Joe Hendry on there on Twitch with his Prestigious Tuesdays. Stone Rockwell has a show on Twitch. They do a lot of one-night-onlys and Twitch events that stream on Twitch. So, I mean, it's all relative to Impact, so it's smart in a way, and I think it's cool. I'm going to check it out. I've been a Impact Wrestling fan since 2004. My first ever, as I've told this story many times, my first ever time watching Impact Wrestling, at the time TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, was the second anniversary show, which featured AJ Styles defending the X Division Championship against the debuting Jeff Hardy at the time. AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy, Kid Cash in Dallas, Lance Hoyt would get involved in that, so yeah. Good times. I mean, and what a year in a way to start watching, and what a time, because, I mean, 2004 was the debut of Impact Wrestling, and that's when they went to they started with the 3-hour pay-per-views, Victory Roads, your Turning Points, so many. I mean, it was good times, man, good times. And now we're taking a trip back down memory lane here with January 5th, 2016, the debut edition on Pop TV. And I'll be honest with you, as someone who's been watching since the Fox Sports Net days, like I remember coming home from school watching Fox Sports Net. Impact Wrestling would be on at 3 p.m. and then they switched to 4 p.m. And then before Spike TV, I believe they ran some of their episodes, some of their shows on their website, TNAWrestling.com at the time. And then I remember the Spike TV deal coming to fruition and watching on Spike. And then I remember when Destination America got announced, I'm like, what the hell is Destination America? And then it turns out I get the channel, which was cool. So I continued to watch Impact during that time period when they were on Destination America. And then Pop TV came into fruition. And I'm just like, what the hell's Pop TV? And then I realized, it's the former TV Guide channel, and I get Pop TV. So I've had all the channels except for Pursuit. So I'm kind of happy that we have a way now to watch it with the Twitch. So Impact Wrestling has gone from Fox Sports Net, Spike TV, Destination America, Pop TV, and now Pursuit/Twitch. So, interesting times. You have a hell of a roster with guys like Killer Cross. You get to see Brian Cage on there, Johnny Impact, girls like Taya Valkyrie, Tessa Blanchard, Sue Young. This goes on and on. There's a lot of hungry and viable talents that are going to make for an exciting Friday nights at 10 p.m. going forward on Twitch and Pursuit at the same time, simulcasted and respectively in their own right. So it's going to be very cool to see where it goes going forward. I'll be tuning in. And we'll doing podcasts like this with my boys on the Heelcast and with my boys on the Bodega Wrestling Podcast, talking all things pro wrestling from Impact. We just did a podcast talking about the predictions for Homecoming and New Japan and All Elite Wrestling, just wrestling news in general. So you can hear me doing that with the Heelcast and the Bodega Wrestling Podcast, respectively. But I want to give my thoughts on this because I remember tuning in for the debut on Pop TV. So we're going to hop right into it. But I just remember on this particular time period, this was also around coming off of 2015 when they did the TNA versus GFW feud, and Trevor Lee and Brian Myers held the tag titles for like a cup of coffee before losing it back to the Wolves. And I remember PJ Black, a.k.a. Justin Gabriel, who's in the WWE, and he's on Lucha Underground, beating Bobby Roode for the King of the Mountain title, holding it for a cup of coffee. Jeff Jarrett holding the King of the Mountain title. Just a lot of interesting interesting things happened in 2015. EC3 and the whole Jeff Hardy being like his slave, and Matt Hardy and Drew Galloway at the time, Drew McIntyre doing his thing. Some good moments, which we're going to discuss because it led up to the debut on Pop TV. So let's just get into it right now. Big news, like I mentioned, Impact Wrestling is going to be on Pursuit and Twitch simulcasted starting January 11th, this upcoming Friday. Let's see what the future holds. I hope everybody enjoyed Homecoming. I'm sure there'll be a review from the Heelcast and the Bodega Wrestling Podcast, either one going forward, one in a couple days. Possibly, so we'll see how that goes, or we'll just talk about it in the next episode, whatever we do with our recaps. But please believe that there will be an edition of both of them respectively, and I'll be on there talking about my thoughts. So, yeah, good times all around, my friends, good times, and it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. So sit back and enjoy as we dive into January 5th, 2016, the debut edition of Impact Wrestling on Pop TV. Now, the show opens up. Josh Matthews and Pope D'Angelo Dinero, the Pope, are our ring announcers. Opens up with Dixie Carter. She's standing in the ring holding the TNA World title, and she thanks all the fans watching live at the arena and on Pop. Now, she's holding the world title because EC3 filed an injunction, and Matt Hardy vacated the TNA title after winning it at Bound for Glory 2015 in the triple threat match with Drew Galloway and EC3. And this is what started again with the whole the world title series, which we'll get into more in this. Dixie Carter would then go on to say that she chose Pop as their television partner, but no other reason more than the fact that Pop built the network for the fans. A thank you Dixie chant starts as Dixie talks about this being TNA's 15th year in existence, and she says that they are committed to making this year TNA's most exciting year ever. She says that wrestling has always been a vital part of pop culture, and nothing is more vital in wrestling than the World Championship. Before she can say anything else, here comes EC3, and she interrupts Aunt D. He interrupts Aunt D, with Tyrus by his side. I'll be honest with you, like, as a wrestling fan watching EC3 come here to TNA at the time, I was so happy to see that they actually let him get the ball to roll, because I thought he had so much potential when he was Derek Bateman, and I saw his work on, it's funny, because I remember his last match on NXT was against Big E, before Big E Langston, before he was with the New Day and the Dolph Ziggler run. I remember him wrestling, and he had the new haircut like he had the EC3 look. He lost to Big E, and that was it for him. Then I saw the vignettes leading up to him debuting for TNA. And I mean, the whole North Burnham and Dewey Barnes and all that good stuff. And I mean, I'm very happy that he got to do what he got to do. Tyrus, on the other hand, I know he left not too long ago as well, again. I remember watching him as Brodus Clay before the Funkasaurus, and he was just very dominant. He had been there before, but got released, and then they hired him back. He was a bodyguard for Snoop Dogg. He's doing his thing now on Fox News. I had to tell you something about that dude. The dude, for his size, is very powerful. I just remember watching the vignettes on WWE talk about he's the beginning and he's the end, and then they bring him out to Somebody Call My Mama, Ernest the Cat Miller's theme. And I'm just like, what are you doing? And then he teamed with the great Coach Bloom, Matt Bloom, a.k.a. Albert, Tensai, A-Train, whatever you want to call him, and then there were the Tons of Funk. And then, and then he comes to TNA with the EC3, and he's done so many things. I mean, he was aligned with Rockstar Spud, he fought Drew Galloway for the world title, he's done a lot in TNA. I mean, this last go-around, he was with Dick Justice and Fala Ba Ba Ba, about the whole fat-shaming gimmick, the thing with KM and the whole nine. But yeah, I always enjoyed, I was intrigued with what Tyrus had to do, because he can do what he can do. And I mean, he was aligned with Eli Drake, and I mean, there's a purpose for him, but it's just like, yeah, he was not happy with, Jeff Jarrett and the regime, so he walked. I'm not gonna say he took his ball and went home, do the old Stone Cold, took his ball and went home, but he was not happy. So I mean, if you're not happy, then just bounce. You know what I'm saying? That's really all you can say. If you're not happy, go do what you love and find your passion. Just find some joy in your life. That's what he's doing. So, but I'll take enough of my ranting, and I digress, but I did enjoy his time in both respective companies. And I saw the talent that he had. It's just, let him utilize that talent and that overall power that he exuded. So, here comes EC3 and Tyrus out after EC3 interrupts Aunt Dixie. EC3 says it's electric in the arena, so that means that there is no time quite like the present to have a Carter family reunion. EC3 says they are going to have a good old-fashioned airing of grievances on live TV. EC3 chants starts up. EC3 says that it's upset that Dixie, that he defeated Kurt Angle for the world title, and it upsets Dixie how he defended the world title each and every week, but he is upset at the fact that she stacked the deck against him at Bound for Glory. He says that Dixie is the reason he lost the title, and tonight all that is over because he will once again become the undisputed World Heavyweight Champion. Dixie Carter tells EC3 that he needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror at all he has done and all he has become. She says that Matt Hardy won the title from EC3 and he used lawyers to get his way rather than in the ring. Dixie says it was EC3 that robbed Matt of the title rather than the other way around. And here comes Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy says that this is the same old EC3 boring song and dance, and he says that the only people that got robbed were the fans after EC3 whined to his lawyers. He says that all of that is over tonight when they crown the new world champion. That will be Matt Hardy. He says that being the world champion is his destiny, so EC3 better not blame Dixie, Jeff, or even himself, because he should blame Matt for taking that title. Then here comes Eric Young attacking Matt Hardy from behind, and he starts beating him all around the ring. And then here comes EC3 and Tyrus. They jump him, and they all beat on Matt. And then here comes Bobby Lashley. Starts cleaning house. Lashley takes out Tyrus, puts him in a sleeper. Then EY attacks Lashley from behind, only to eat a big backdrop. Matt comes back and tosses EC3 and EY to the floor, and Tyrus and Lashley brawl to the floor as well. Matt dives off the top rope with a plancha onto EC3, Lashley, and Tyrus. And that was your opening segment. It was very good. I mean, it was a way to start off the night, and we got to see how the show would progress. So I think it was a fine opening segment. I'll be honest with you, watching this back, it was actually very cool because I remember watching it. Folks, I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina now. I was in back home on Long Island, New York, but I moved, so I remember watching it down here on one of the vacations and watching it on Poppity Pop Pop TV, doing the thing. It was a joy to watch, man. I thought it was a great opening segment, like I mentioned, and it progressed to see how the night would commence. So we start off with EC3 and Bobby Lashley in a World Title Series semifinal. I've always enjoyed these two, wrestling, because I remember later in the year, they had a great match at Bound for Glory. This is after EC3 turned face, which we'll get into why he turned face, and I'll discuss that. And, Bobby Lashley is the World Heavyweight Champion. And just the whole nine, just Bobby Lashley being the badass that he is. I know I see him on WWE TV now. He's had some good matches with Elias, and he's doing his thing back in WWE, which, I'm kind of about. I don't need to see him, pointing to his butt each and every week. But that's just me, but okay. He's getting over as the narcissistic, cocky heel with Leo Rush as his mouthpiece. But anyway, I was like Bobby Lashley. I remember watching Bobby Lashley when he first debuted on WWE, beating up Simon Dean and making him eat cheeseburgers. To watching him go against the likes of Batista and Finlay and Ken Kennedy and Umaga at WrestleMania 23, Battle of the Billionaires. Watching him win the ECW title, wrestling the likes of Test, wrestling the likes of Rob Van Dam. Just working with anybody and everybody. John Cena even at the Bash in 07. I was a fan of Bobby Lashley. Dude is extremely talented. Then he went to TNA. Then he left TNA. Then he came back to TNA. So, I mean, he was just great, and he was destined to be a world champion there, and he did. I always just enjoyed watching Bobby Lashley wrestle. You just give me some Bobby Lashley, and he proved himself as a badass in that year with EC3 at that Bound for Glory. And this match was no different, except the roles were reversed here, because EC3 was the heel, and Bobby Lashley was the babyface. These two went back and forth. It was so doggone good. I mean, Tyrus tripping the leg of Lashley being the heel that he is, and we'll see more of Tyrus. There was a spot here where EC3 hits the TKO. Bobby Lashley kicks out. EC3 goes for the 1%er, but Bobby Lashley blocks it, hits him with the clothesline, goes for the running power slam, and then goes for the spear, but Tyrus trips him, like I mentioned. And then afterwards, we see him go for the Dominator, that being Bobby Lashley. And then Tyrus gets on the apron, and Lashley drops EC3 and knocks Tyrus off the apron. Goes for the spear on EC3, but he sidesteps him, and Lashley crashes into the turnbuckles. Then the schoolboy roll-up for the 1-2-3, and EC3 advances in the semifinals of the World Title Series, pinning Bobby Lashley with a roll-up. It was fine. It was really, really good. These two have great chemistry, and it was an overall great dynamic. Then we go to the back, and Kurt Angle is backstage walking out. We're going to see him in the ring shortly. Then we get a vignette airing for the debuting Miracle. I wonder who that can be. We'll discuss the Miracle as we get later on here in the show. Bobby Roode is shown arriving backstage where he talks about his open challenge for tonight. Bobby Roode says it isn't being cocky if you can back it up, and tonight he will back it up. He has issued an open challenge for any wrestler in the world from any promotion. Here comes Kurt Angle. Now, this was around the time when Kurt Angle was doing the retirement tour. We see Kurt Angle back now in WWE, was the GM. He got inducted into the Hall of Fame. He wrestled every now and then. He wrestled just recently Baron Corbin. He teamed with The Shield at TLC. I mean, he's done some stuff. Him and Ronda Rousey had a great match with Triple H and Stephanie at WrestleMania. So I was a big Kurt Angle fan from his WWE run, and I remember the Impact Zone going crazy when Kurt Angle was announced that he signed with TNA in 2006. And I mean, watching those matches with Samoa Joe, Christian Cage, so many great memories. I mean, the matches with AJ Styles, Abyss, who's now in the Hall of Fame. There's so many great memories of Kurt Angle. Main Event Mafia, just the list goes on and on. The Jeff Jarrett matches, good stuff. It's just Kurt Angle. And I'll say this right now. I loved him in both runs in WWE and TNA Impact Wrestling respectively, but Kurt Angle even tell you, I remember listening to him on Talk is Jericho, that he had a better career in Impact Wrestling. He really did. I mean, I digress, because this is where we start to see the end come very, very shortly for Kurt Angle and his run in TNA Wrestling at the time. So Kurt Angle comes out. Kurt Angle thanks the fans for the ovation they gave him. A thank you Angle chant, excuse me. Kurt Angle says that tonight is the night that they celebrate the fan and everyone. He says that he is blessed to have been in the spotlight for the last 25 years, having won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck, and then winning 13 world titles. He says he could have not done it without the fans, and every time he walks through the curtain, it is an honor to him. He says every time he hears the roar from the crowd, he's allowed to live his dream. He says that this is a very exciting time for TNA, and this will be the home for some of the most exciting matches of his career. He starts to get choked up. He says that he's made it known that he's stepping down from TNA soon. He starts naming opponents that he's wrestled, like for the likes of The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, Samoa Joe, etc. And he's dedicated to having the same high caliber matches for his farewell tour. Kurt Angle says he has handpicked Drew Galloway to face Kurt Angle next week as a part of the farewell tour. Now, if I remember correctly, this was in Pennsylvania at the Bethlehem tapings that he wrestled Drew Galloway, and it was an amazing match. Go out of your way to watch that match if you've never seen it. They just did a match with Kurt and Drew in WWE, and it solidified Drew as a badass, so it served its purpose. But I remember watching that match in TNA at the time and thinking, wow, that was some good stuff, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Drew Galloway comes down to the ring, and he says the kid inside him is freaking out right now, and he's honored that Kurt would choose him to face next week. Drew starts up a thank you Angle chant, and he says that has always fought for what he believes in, but this is beyond words for him. He starts to tear up as he says that he will not let this opportunity slip away from him. Because back in the day, we all knew that Drew Galloway stood up for professional wrestling. Jesse Goddard comes out. The Adonis interrupts him and says that Drew is not the future of wrestling because Jesse is, as Jesse takes a selfie. Jesse Goddard says that he is the superstar here and talks about his Big Brother appearances and says that he is the true veteran here. Eli Drake cuts Jesse off and walks onto the stage. Eli says now that those three have bored the entire audience, he will wake everyone up. Eli says that Jesse is real cool with 13-year-old girls and he has been living on his Big Brother fame, but he has to agree with Jesse getting upset over Angle talking about the future of wrestling without mentioning Eli Drake. Eli says that he and Jesse may not be friends, but if they teamed up, they could wipe the Wolves off the map, and he says that anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together could see Drew as the waste of space he is. Eli says that it is the only God walk on the earth, and it's time for Drew to stand up and take a walk. Kurt Angle tells Eli Drake to shut his mouth, and unlike Eli, he does things with action while Eli is all talk. Angle says he has a few minutes open, so if Eli and Jesse want to prove they are real men, they can come down there. Eli and Jesse hit the ring, and we have a brawl between the 4. Angle locks Eli in the ankle lock while Drew chases Eli off. Jesse Goddard. My apologies. Drew chased off Eli, and Angle put Jesse in the ankle lock. Jesse escapes as Angle and Drew stand tall. Backstage, I almost said JBL for the second, excuse me, Jeremy Borash, JB, knocks on Matt Hardy's dressing room door, but Jeff answers the door and says that no injury is going to interfere with Matt. He says by the end of the night, Matt will be, once again, world champion. EY is in the back, and he says that Matt Hardy is finished. He says that when he swings a chair, he swings for keeps, and you are looking at the second finalist in the World Title Series. Eric Young demands that a referee counts Matt Hardy out now, but Matt's music hits, and he hobbles out. Then we have the EY Matt Hardy match. Now, as someone who's also been watching these careers since Eric Young with 2004, the Don't Fight Eric, Team Canada, doing the whole thing where he was with the World Elite, teaming with Orlando Jordan, the world title win, just everything with Eric Young, I enjoyed because he was so good. Now he's doing his thing on SmackDown with Sanity, with Killian Dane, who was in ICW, and he was in TNA as well, Big Damo. You got promising talent like Alexander Wolf, who's amazing. So Sanity's doing their thing. And then I see Matt Hardy now. Matt Hardy, I'll get to Matt Hardy at the end, but we'll see a certain big money with Matt Hardy as we get towards the end of this, and I'll explain for those that don't remember, which if you don't remember, come on, people. brush up on your history. But I mean, yeah, I watched this match and I've followed both of these guys' careers, and I just think these two they killed it, man. As we got towards the end of the matchup, because it was back and forth pace, and it's Matt Hardy and Eric Young. You're going to get solid and great action. Eric Young hits Matt Hardy with the spike pile driver on the concrete. We get the holy shit chant. EY rolls back into the ring and the referee begins the 10 count. Here comes Jeff Hardy, tries to check on his brother, only for Eric Young to hit a flying drop kick through the ropes onto Jeff on the floor. Eric Young lifts Matt up and rolls him back into the ring. EY spits on Jeff and then climbs up to the top rope. EY dives off the top but falls right into the twist of fate from Matt Hardy for the 1-2-3. And Matt Hardy advances in the World Title Series, and he's going to be taking on EC3 in the finals. So now we come back from commercial, and Eric Young is freaking out backstage about the loss. He says everyone will pay because everyone is against him. EC3 and Tyrus approach Jeff Hardy backstage and taunt him about costing EC3 the title at Bound for Glory. EC3 says the hell he puts Matt through tonight is going to be all Jeff's fault, but Jeff says all of EC3's excuses run out tonight when Matt becomes the new world champion again. Bram comes out to answer Bobby Roode's open challenge, and he reminds Roode that he hates everyone. He says that Bobby Roode is the king of the mountain for now because 2016 is his year. So we get a King of the Mountain World Championship matchup between the It Factor, Bobby Roode, and Bram. Now, Bram, I remember watching Bram first and foremost. He just came off ICW Fear and Loathing. Does a lot of great work in ICW, does Bram. I remember the team with Magnus and Impact Wrestling Likes with Biss. I mean, Bram is just so good. He really is. I remember watching him. He was in the original Ascension in NXT. Before it was Rick Victor, it was Bram, who was known as Kenneth Cameron, and Connor O'Brien. They were a great duo, man. They had great matches with the Usos, etc. Good stuff. But the thing is, when I saw Bram in TNA, I mean, I really just enjoyed watching him. I know he was the, Eric, he was a King of the Mountain champion, because Eric Young was a King of the Mountain champion. So, I mean, Bram, again, teaming with Eric Young, teaming with Magnus, whatever they had Bram do, I thoroughly enjoyed, and the stuff with Rosemary and the Decay, the whole nine, the DCC with James Storm and Eddie Kingston. I thought he was good. I really did, and I still think he's good. I think Bram is such a solid talent, and I think the UK is a hotbed for professional wrestling. Always has and always will be. But you see that now with companies like ICW, like I just mentioned, Progress Wrestling, Rev Pro. The list goes on and what they're doing in NXT UK. There's a lot of promising talents there. But I mean, it's great to see the international talent being used, and I just remember this match was very, very good. It was, again, just back and forth, and these two just worked each other on the outside into the guardrails. A great action in the ring, and they had a hell of a brawl and a hell of a match. So the finishing sequence comes, where Bobby Roode goes for the blockbuster off the top, but Bram moves out of the way, hits the spinning heel kick for the near fall. Bram sets up for a Uranagi suplex, but Bobby Roode blocks it, goes for the Roode bomb. Bram counters into a roll-up for a near fall, and then the Uranagi suplex for a 2 count. Bram goes for the Brighter Side of Suffering, which is an Impaler DDT. But Roode counters into the Roode bomb, which is like a version of a TKO. It's a sweet move, hits the Roode bomb for the 1-2-3, and Bobby Roode is your victor with the Roode bomb. Now it's funny watching Bram do the Brighter Side of Suffering, because what Bobby Roode does now is the Glorious DDT. I've been a fan of Bobby Roode for many, many years. The Team Canada days when he was with Miss Brooks as Robert Roode, Beer Money, and what we had here, and then just his WWE run with the NXT, and he was glorious. Right now he's the current tag champ with Chad Gable on Monday Night Raw. I think they're a great tag team because you got an Olympian and Chad Gable, who's amazing. You get a veteran and a great wrestler like Bobby Roode, so it makes for a hell of a combination. Afterwards, Eric Young comes out and goes for the spike pile driver on Bobby Roode, but Bobby Roode counters, hits a backdrop and a series of clotheslines. Roode goes for the Roode bomb, but Bram low blows Roode, and both EY and Bram put the boots to him. And then someone comes through the crowd, and we have a return, as it's James Storm. Storm spits beer in Bram's face and then hits the last call, and EY gets the big welcome back chant, and then Storm grabs the microphone. James Storm says that 5 or 6 months ago, he kept asking the same question: why did you leave Impact Wrestling? Storm says he left because he didn't like where he was going, he was becoming, and he didn't realize until his granny said, "Boy, that ain't you." Storm says he just wasn't having fun anymore, and he is traveling the world, wrestling everywhere, trying to figure out what he was going to do next. He was sitting at home when he saw that Storm got the biggest disappointment award for the World Title Series. Storm says he took exception to that because he put everything he had into TNA, because this company didn't make James Storm. Guys like him made TNA. Storm says he and Bobby Roode drunk a lot of beer together, and they made a lot of money together. He says it's time to get back to having fun, and he grabs a couple beers. Storm offers Roode a beer and says beer as the fans start to stir. Roode grabs a beer and says money, and as they do a toast, beer money is back. I remember when they won the tag titles, I did enjoy Bobby Roode and Decay. Bobby Roode and James Storm, against Decay. Beer Money and Decay had great matches. I gotta tell you, I remember around this time, because James Storm did like two. I think he did like 2 appearances for NXT. He wrestled Danny Burch, who's now on NXT UK, and NXT teams with Oney Lorcan, very talented individual. And he wrestled Adam Rose, who was there at the time. And I think that was about it for James Storm. He only wrestled a couple matches in NXT. Decided to go back to TNA at the time. And I was big fan of James Storm since the early days. Him and Chris Harris, America's Most Wanted, Beer Money, the matches with the likes of Triple X, The Naturals, Kurt Angle with James Storm. I mean, James Storm was just, the Revolution with Abyss, Manic, Mahabali Shera. I was a big James Storm guy. Still am. Always will be. I mean, he just wrestled Grado with Jeff Jarrett as a special guest referee at the recent ICW Fear and Loathing in England. I mean, dude's just amazing, and he's still going to keep kicking ass. He's the cowboy. Sorry about your damn luck. So that was the reuniting of Beer Money. Backstage, we get Jeremy Borash approaching the beautiful people, and Angelina is showing a baby bump. Says that she will obviously not be wrestling tonight because she is pregnant. She says that she will be supporting her girls tonight as Madison Rayne says that Taryn Terrell is gone from TNA. So now the dollhouse is down to just 3, and Velvet says that they will show the beautiful people wannabes what the real ones look like. Angelina says that her replacement tonight might hate the dollhouse more than they do. Then we come back from commercial, and James Storm says that Bram and EY made a huge mistake, and this Friday on pay-per-view with the One Night Only, they challenge Bram and EY to a match. Beer Money's first match together in 5 years. So then we get a matchup, and I remember this feud between the Dollhouse, which was comprised of Rebel, Jade, and Marty Bell, versus the beautiful people of Madison Rayne, Velvet Sky, and their tag team partner, Gail Kim. So I remember Taryn Terrell left, and she would come back very shortly in 2017. Rebel being a part of the Dollhouse. You know what's funny about Rebel? Rebel, spoiler alert, it's all over Twitter, Rebel is going to be on a edition of NXT coming up. She'll be teaming with someone who we also saw on Impact, Miss Amber Nova. Her and Rebel will be teaming against Kairi Sane and Io Shirai in an episode of NXT coming up, so there's a little spoiler alert. I remember Taryn, Jade, Mia Yim, and Marty Bell doing their thing. I mean, Mia Yim's now in NXT doing her thing. Marty Bell, I always enjoyed Marty Bell. Remember seeing her at some NYWC shows, which is the New York Wrestling Connection, on Long Island, New York. Good stuff. Madison Rayne, always been a fan. She's doing her thing in Women of Honor. I think she's very talented at what she does. Her work in Shimmer, where she wrestled Ashley Lane on the Indies. Velvet Sky, actually, first time I ever saw Velvet Sky was under the Talia Madison moniker, which she wrestled as very briefly in TNA before Angel Williams and Talia Madison became Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. She wrestled a match with Victoria on a Sunday Night Heat. And I remember when the Heartthrobs, who were Romeo and Antonio, and they were the Heartbreakers very briefly in TNA when they wrestled the VKM, the Voodoo Kid Mafia. So the Heartthrobs were faces, and the girls that they brought in from the crowd were Velvet Sky and Stephanie Finocchio, a.k.a. TNA Original Trinity. This is before Trinity went with the FBI, Little Guido and Tony Mamaluke in the ECW version of WWE. And I gotta say, probably one of my favorite interviews to ever do on the show here, guys, was with Trinity. Such a sweetheart of a human being. And still, I always love that fall from grace, that moonsault off the cage, the stuff with Tracy Brooks and the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, God rest his soul. I'll be here all day. But so we get the Dollhouse, Rebel Jade, and Marty Bell. There's the beautiful people. I mean, it was fine. It was a back and forth match. I'll be honest with you, Rebel, after seeing her in the friggin' the menagerie, and then now here, it was okay. I mean, this match was fine. The finishing sequence came because there was, again, a lot of back and forth action. Just these girls really busted their ass. I liked the work from all, but like I said, this match for me was fine. It was okay. It was solid. The finishing sequence came when Marty Bell hits a straightjacket slam on Velvet. Then Madison lays Marty out only for Jade to lay her out. Then Gail and Jade exchange kicks. And Jade ducks a clothesline and counters into a bridging back suplex for a near fall. Jade sets up for the power slam, but Gail counters into a beautiful body scissors roll up for the 1, 2, 3. And your winners are the beautiful people and Gail Kim. Excuse me. The Dollhouse attacks the babyfaces, that being the beautiful people and Gail Kim. After the match, Awesome Kong comes out, And Kong stares down the dollhouse, but then lays out the beautiful people instead. Kong grabs Gail and hits her with the implant buster. Kong celebrates with the dollhouse. And yeah, Awesome Kong was the hired muscle for the dollhouse. And I remember this because you got to see Awesome Kong talk. And you get to see more matches with her and Gail Kim because I always loved that feud. I remember Awesome Kong then doing her karma thing for a very short period of time before she left because she was pregnant with child, as she put in her speech. She got to eliminate Dolph Ziggler in the Royal Rumble. She was the third woman ever to compete in the Royal Rumble matchup. We've had Chyna, Beth Phoenix, and Karma, Awesome Kong. She did her thing on Glow Netflix. I was such a big fan of Awesome Kong. I loved the matches with ODB, the Gail Kim feud, her and Ayako Hamada as the Knockouts tag champs against the likes of Taylor Wilde and Sarita. I mean, just such good stuff with Awesome Kong. I really was such a big fan of Awesome Kong, still am today. And I'm sure I'm being repetitious and reiterating that a lot, but it's just some good stuff here, people. And then we come back, and then the lights go out, and we get the orchestra. Maria Kanellis comes out. Maria Kanellis Bennett, excuse me. She appears on the stage, and she welcomes us to her place of worship. She says that she is the first lady of pro wrestling, and she bears witness to the fans' pain, and all the fans hope that someone will come and save pro wrestling. She says today is the fans' most blessed day because the fans' miracle is here. She says that she believes in miracles, and this miracle's name is Mike Bennett. And I'm going to tell you right now, I was very excited to see Mike Bennett come to TNA at this particular time because I was a fan of him and Matt Taven and Adam Cole, baby, in the Kingdom, and I love their work in Ring of Honor. Mike Kanellis, on the other hand, I will say I love the "I'm burning up with your love," and I always love this theme song, that down down now 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 now, and I love Mike Bennett's feuds with the likes of EC3, Moose. He had a brief exchange with Cody Rhodes when Cody wrestled in Impact for a brief period of time, but I always enjoyed Mike Kanellis' work. I mean, he was a former X Division champion, very briefly, but he was a former X Division champion. I liked him. I like Mike Bennett. I like Mike Kanellis, whatever you want to call him. I think he's doing his thing greatly now in 205 Live. He just had a great match, him and TJ Perkins, Manic, Suicide, whatever you want to call him, against the Lucha Brothers, Kalisto, Grand Metalik, and Lince Dorado. I mean, the dude's he's a great hand, and I'm so happy he's beat his addiction, and, he's getting better with himself, because he's a great hand, and he's just a great talent. I got nothing but love for Mike Bennett, Kanellis, whatever you want to call him, Mike Kanellis Bennett, Mike Bennett Kanellis, what have you. Anyway, I digress, folks. Mike Bennett walks onto the stage and has his theme plays, and he's wearing a suit. Bennett walks down to the ring alongside Maria. As Josh says, that Bennett has been one of the most sought-after free agents in wrestling. Bennett says that just like that, an internet darling becomes the miracle that will save TNA. He says that there has been a lot of buzz about what or who the miracle coming to TNA is, but for those that don't know him, he is an international superstar, a real-life superhero, and the baddest mofo on the show, and pro wrestling is Jesus. Bennett says that what pro wrestling needs is a miracle because it used to be fun and exciting, and it used to be mainstream, but now pro wrestling is filled with washed-up throwaways that call themselves pro wrestlers. He says that he will change all of that. He says that Matt Hardy will face EC3 tonight for the world title, but that is not the miracle or the moment anyone will remember tonight. And he says the true miracle will be when he holds the world title over his head. Great promo. So then we get Drew Galloway backstage. He thanks Kurt Angle for his opportunity to get in the ring with Kurt, and he isn't taking this lightly. Kurt Angle says that he isn't taking it lightly either, and he isn't laying down, and then the Wolves approach them. The Wolves says that they haven't faced Kurt either, so this is just a tag team dream match on the pay-per-view Friday night, that being the one night only, as the Wolves versus Kurt Angle and Drew Galloway. Jesse and Eli walk up, and they want in on the match, so the Wolves and Angle and Drew all agree to let them in as well. So it'll be a triple threat tag match, which was very good. I remember watching this one night only with the Wolves, Kurt Angle, Drew Galloway, and Eli Drake and Jesse Goddard. Which brings us to our main event of the evening, as EC3 fights Matt Hardy in the World Title Series final for the vacant TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Jeff Hardy says that he believes in his brother enough to walk away, but asks if Tyrus believes in his boss too as well. Tyrus just says cool and walks to the back as EC3 looks confused as hell. And then we get to the match. These guys have always had great matches. I got to just say this right now. Watching the Last Man Standing match with them where Matt Hardy turns heel, I'm just going to say this right now. This was right before, the heel turn, and they decided to go, they decided to go in the direction of Matt Hardy being Big Money Matt, this heel, an EC3 babyface, and aligning Rockstar Spud and Tyrus and Matt Hardy. And then Matt Hardy would feud with his brother, and then the broken gimmick started. And that really took off for the rest of 2016 because the broken gimmick was amazing. I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, what the hell are they doing? And it just got so funny and bizarre and entertaining to go forward. And I just remember seeing that was the most dominant and probably just the most cool stuff. The final deletions, the total nonstop deletions at the Hardy compound, the feuds with the K. Man, we could be here all day talking about. I remember them fighting the DCC, Eli Drake and Tyrus. Oh my God, friggin' Mario Bakara. No, not Mario Bakara. What the fuck was his name? Basil Baraka, and the guy who was Marcus Louis, and oh my God, they were the Legionnaires, and they were the Legionnaires. Oh my God. I'm going to look this up because this is going to bug me, because I know you're saying to yourself, what the hell? They were with Al Snow for a period of time. It was Sylvester LaFour and Marcus Louis. They were the Legionnaires and NXT. This is going to bug me as I get to that. But yeah, as I was saying, these matches were great, and just the Hardys, what they did in 2016, and then Eddie Edwards won the world title in 2016. Had a lot of great moments in 2016. Oh, they were the Tribunal. There you go. The Tribunal, it was Basil Baraka, that was Sylvester LaFour, and Marcus Louis was Baron Dax. Oh my God. And they lasted for a hot minute in TNA at the time, but I remember their match with the Tribunal, and Al Snow was their manager, so they were the Tribunal. But they were the Legionnaires in NXT. So anyway, but yeah, the 2016 was mostly dominated by the whole feud with, with Jeff and Matt Hardy and the Broken gimmick, and you got to see EC3 and Bobby Lashley for the title. Lashley doing his thing against Eddie Edwards before losing it to Eddie Edwards. Cody Rhodes came in. The Mike Bennett EC3 feud. There was a lot of interesting matchups in 2016, but this was a hell of a way to start the year and their debut on Pop TV. So watching EC3 and Matt Hardy wrestle, I'm down. And Matt Hardy, it's unfortunate what happened with him. He was doing his thing with Bray Wyatt. I'll be honest with you, the Broken stuff, comparing it to what they did in WWE and Impact Wrestling, it's really not. Impact Wrestling did it up with them. I saw the Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt, sorry folks. The Ultimate Deletion match was fine, but man, they can't compare what TNA did. And I'm saying TNA because they were TNA at the time and they did it, Impact Wrestling. But it was good. That's really all I can say. I've always been a fan of Matt Hardy since the early days, the Hardy Boys, the V1 gimmick, the feud with Edge. I've always enjoyed Matt Hardy's work, and the same with the EC3. So this was enjoyable for me as a fan, just to watch this match, because they've always had great matchups. And this was no different. The finishing sequence comes where Matt goes for a twist of fate, but EC3 counters into a dropkick, hits the 1%er. Matt won't stay down. Near fall. EC3 screaming at Matt to stay down, but then Matt catches him with the twist of fate. Another near fall. Very exciting exchange. EC3 kicks out. Matt immediately slams EC3 into the corner and lifts him to the top rope. Matt climbs with EC3 and attempts a super twist of fate, but EC3 blocks it, hits an incredible super 1%er off the top for the 1-2-3. EC3 is the new World Heavyweight Champion. Rebby Sky looks, pissed off and angry. Matt Hardy is disgusted. It was a hell of a way to start Impact's debut on Pop, and the way to start off the year that was 2016 for Impact Wrestling. We got to see Billy Corgan on TV. They introduced the Grand Championship, but it was a hell of a start to the year, and it was a great debut edition of Impact Wrestling on Pop TV. And like I said, as I'm recording this, it's the day after, it's the day after Homecoming. As I'm recording this now, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's January 7th, but we just had Homecoming. We now have Impact Wrestling on Fridays at 10 p.m. on Pursuit and Twitch, the simulcast. We're just coming off Pop TV. So, again, it's been nuts. 3 years since they made their debut on Pop TV, and that was a hell of a way to start. I remember watching that happy, and I remember watching it back before I recorded this audio about a day or two ago, and just really enjoying the action that we had on this show. And I hope you guys enjoyed my look back and my retrospective, and just including a lot of wrestling elements in this show, and taking a look back at Impact's debut on Pop TV. I'll be back in the upcoming days with more interviews. Yes, I know a lot of people know about me on the Heelcast and why my nickname is Pornhub, so there will be more porn stars and adult entertainment, people in the adult entertainment industry coming on my show real soon. A lot of wrestling interviews, people in the music industry, and just a lot of pop culture audios and just more. That's what you get with the Steve and Mike Show, the S&M Show Podcast Network. You get Steve and Mike Show, Golden Age of Everything, taking a look back at 1976 to 1984, the Pop Culture History Podcast, On the Mic with Mike, the Stevie Nicks Hockey Experience, the Stevie Nicks Experience in itself. It's just a lot of fun with this network. MC Larkin 92. You can check me out at SM Show 1 on Twitter. MC Larkin 92 is the SoundCloud. StephenMikeShow.com is the website. You can check us out on Facebook, S&M Show Podcast and S&M Network Shows, respectively. You can give us a like. Just go on to SoundCloud. It'll all be right there. And I'm at MCL92 on Twitter as well. But if you want to have Impact-oriented stuff, you can follow me on Twitter at Impact Rewind, where you can see a lot of Impact memories. I'll probably put this audio on there as well, besides the SM Show 1 account. So, guys, check out Impact coming up, Pursuit Channel, new network, and Twitch simulcast, Friday, January 11th. And if you haven't seen Homecoming, check it out. It's a very solid show, and just enjoy not only Impact Wrestling, just enjoy and support professional wrestling as a whole. And thank you guys for listening, taking a look back at this retrospective from 3 years ago. And guys, I just appreciate your support, and thank you very much. Keep listening to me on the Heelcast, the Bodega Wrestling Podcast, and my own podcast here. And just keep supporting podcasting and pro wrestling as a whole. My name is Mike Larkin. Much love and respect to all of you. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon.